All right, everybody, this is Chris with Drop Dice. We're back again. So in case you missed it earlier and you happen to be following the channel, I just wanted to throw it out there again. Today is 20 days until BrigadeCon, so if you want to check that out, it's brigadecon.org. I did a video earlier today. You can check that out on the channel as well. But what we're here for is Legend of the Five Rings, our campaign. Unfortunately, Brendan had to work a little bit late tonight, so he will not be joining us because he's got a yearly inventory he's got to do. So we're just going to go with these three today. Let's go ahead and go down the line, starting with Jeremy.
Hey, Jeremy here, Kyuden Komori here. Hope you enjoy the game. Yeah.
Okay. Next is Murdoch.
Hi, I'm Murdoch. I'm gonna upload my thing now, but outside of that, I hope we're good enough without the C to keep your interest. I'm kind of boring.
We still got Tom.
We do have Tom, so that's huge.
I'm the charisma.
Speaking of Tom.
No, speaking of the charisma.
Hi, I'm Tom, playing Miyamoto Kaji, Resident Dragon Clan.
Okay, and Tom forgets to promote it every week, so I will promote it for him. Tom is also part of the Guns of Icarus game project online as one of your IT
He develops
guy,
cloud.
I don't know if I was gonna say I don't know what else you do there, to be honest.
Cloud.
I develop game modes and AI for the upcoming combo. And I don't promote it every time because I don't want to feel like a shill.
Fair enough. I'll
Also,
shill for you.
he makes clouds.
Sometimes.
There's a cloud in there that says "F you, Murdoch."
But only
just
where
have to
nobody
look
can
But
see
really
it.
it's always
hard.
near a bunny, though, if that makes you feel better.
Actually, one of our artists does etch his name into each gun mount he makes. You have to look really carefully to find it.
That's kind of funny. I like when game developers do that because it shows a little bit more than the normal like caring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
There are
they're
a bunch
proud
of-
of their work.
There are a few other subtle things, like many of the last developers' last names are in the game in some way or another. Like, for example, one of the main engine types is the Bengtson Heavy Engine, which is one of my coworkers. There's also the Wilson notes, which detail all the guns, named after myself. So,
I like it.
All right. So when we last left off, you guys were heading to the Mantis Islands. Specifically, if anybody has the 4th edition map, which I will show here on my screen here, to this little island here, MC2. That is where the Bat Clan resides. And you were on your way.
Lazy.
Go come out some real land.
Sorry, not everybody is a fucking major clan.
Hey, language. This is a rated R cast.
You're right. Sorry, not everybody is a fucking major clan.
Again, language. I'm fucking shut up, Murdoch. Not everybody's a fucking major clan, you piece of shit. That.
Man, I gotta have a little bit more
And welcome to
anger
the
for
show.
that one.
And welcome.
But MC2, the island itself, something that Komori is going to know, and Kakita may be able to sense a little bit of when he hits the island.
See,
The island
he
itself.
can sense it. I can't.
The island itself is
Magic.
very close to the I'm going to screw up this.
It's
word.
Chikudo, I believe it is.
Chikatsudo, I think is how it's said. The animal spirit realm, we'll say that.
It has a gateway in it.
It has multiple gateways, actually.
Yeah.
And animal spirits are willing to walk around this island pretty freely. So, Murdoch, you will sense kind of a change in the air when you get here. After a little bit of concentration, you'll realize that there is a connection to the spirit realms.
Roger. Can you hear me right now?
Yep.
Okay. Roger that. I'm sorry. I'm trying to heat up some Pazza. So.
And you were taking Ranmaru back to Kyuden Komori.
So, for the record,
Yes, I am.
Dietrich, for the record, that chick is the ultimate damsel in distress. You need to, she's, worse than Lois Lane. Y'all need to
What?
just, chain her up and stick her in a room and tell her to cut that crap out.
Chikashudo is the word I was looking for.
I'm honestly confused by this, Murdoch. What? How is she more of a damsel in distress than Lois?
Because I'm exaggerating. It's called exaggerating, Jeremy. Jeez.
That a little bit more exaggeration than needed.
As Archer would say, figuratively, not literally.
Okay. So, yeah, you're off to the island. Well, you're at the island. You conquered bandits last game,
We did.
and you
Pirates,
watched
to be
them
specific.
get boiled alive.
They deserved it.
They what?
And we will start with Tom's letter because it specifically addresses that.
Okay. To my honored mother and father. By now I am sure you have heard from other sources of what has happened in Toshi Rambo, and perhaps in my part of it as well. You will be pleased to hear that I have been honored for my deeds in the defense of the city, and have been granted a home within the city itself. It is a very nice house, which fills me with regret that I have to leave Toshi Rambo so soon. Perhaps I could return next summer, should the spirits will it. In any case, me and my companions have set out south, gaining passage on a mantis ship headed for the Batlands. The rest of us felt it was only just that we aid Diedrich in returning his clan Shugenja home. However, it's worth noting that our trip has not been an entirely smooth one. As we came upon our first port, we found it to be under assault by pirates. Needless to say, my companions and I aided the mantis in defeating them, capturing the ones that did not die in the ensuing battle. Still, part of me wishes that all the pirates could have been felled in battle. It is the first time I have seen the punishment for piracy carried out, and I can't help but wonder if a clean death is that much less effective as a deterrent. Regardless, I am in high spirits and ready for whatever lies before me. And perhaps the spirits may see fit to let me move on. May the path of enlightenment lead you ever forward, Miyamoto Kaji.
Perfect. So, you have woken up inside this this village, and the mantis ship is actually getting ready to head out. The one that gave you a ride here. They've gathered the supplies that they needed, and they have every intent to go back to the mantis mainlands, which is just a little bit to the north. However, you were told that there are some bat shugenjas inside the mantis lanes. Should you need yourself a ride and can afford the services of a shugenja, they would be more than happy to provide honorable samurai like yourself a ride in the future. They are also more than happy to charge you an arm and a leg, just like this time.
Everybody's got to make money. Everybody's got to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what is our next move, Diedrich?
Sorry. So, just to confirm, we're at MC2?
Correct.
Okay.
And the city you're looking for is Kyuden Komori. The port that you're at is just about a half a day's travel.
Yeah. We should be at Kyuden Gote right now, right?
No, you are not at Kyuden Gote. MC2
remembering
is the island, but the island itself is called, I forget what it is. It's like Lost Spirits or something like that. Let me pull it up. It has an interesting name that I'm somehow forgetting. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Island of Lost Wilderness, which until recently was actually considered unhospitable, and no one was allowed to live on that island by imperial decree. because of the animal spirits being violent and bastards that they are.
What changed?
Bat Clan.
The Bat Clan.
Ah.
It's legitimate. If you read the background of it, Tom, it's really what it is.
Yeah, there was a spirit, a Komori spirit, which is a bat spirit that had struck an alliance with a mantis shugenja, or at least alliance is kind of a relative term. They had a kid, whose kid was
Understanding.
Komori the First, who headed the clan.
The understanding was he was going to stick his hoo-hoo in her ha-ha.
Hey! Almost every single starting of every single clan fucks with some kind of spiritual shit.
Except for the Kakita.
That's a clan.
Yeah. Hey, you don't know what kind of designs we have.
All right. Well, it's only about a half a day's. You said a half a day's travel to Kyuden Komori, right?
Yeah, you're fairly close. The castle itself is actually a little bit further inland than you are right now, but it's not too far of travel. I am still on my headset. I just had to turn off the camera for a minute.
That's fine. Yes. I know it looks kind of odd, but about a half a day's travel that way. Now, point. We should be at Kyuden Komori.
Is there a path?
Not much of one. He's kind of pointing in a direction, and it looks like he's pointing through like tropical jungle territory.
That's what I figured. So
Yeah. He says it's a path. Is there a path? I'm like, only if you know where to look.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Luck of you have a guide.
Have you? He turns to Miyamoto. Crane will turn to Miyamoto and say, "Have you been keeping your skills sharp, Kaji?"
I like slowly turning you an arch and eyebrow. Yes, although I'm not sure I like what you're insinuating.
Well, we are traveling into the jungle. We may need them.
I would like to think that my skills are put to a better use than clearing the hedges.
You are not aware of the stories of this land, are you, Miyamoto-san?
I would ask for you not to clear the hedges. Do not disturb the spirits here.
The animal spirits, maleficent as they are, do not enjoy it.
No.
Hence why I ask if your skills are sharp. Sharp enough to, say, deal with an animal spirit if needed?
Well, I would hope we would come to a peaceful resolution in that case, but...
Animal spirits don't typically enjoy peaceful resolutions. Just ask Komori how his clan was started.
I suppose things are different here.
Not all of us can grow up with such benevolent dragon spirits.
He won't say anything of that. He'll just kind of look off to the side awkwardly.
While you start your bickering, I just start walking.
Okay.
Follow after him.
So, much like the rest of the islands of Silken Spice, which is where the Mantis Clan, that portion of the Mantis Clan islands are called.
That's why it was being raided.
The Mantis are actually exceptionally wealthy for material reasons. This island is a little bit more dangerous than some of the other ones. This is effectively L5R's version of Australia, if you would. It's full of snakes, scorpions, spiders, all of which are venomous.
Everything is poisonous. Everything is poisonous, venomous, and out to kill you.
Yep. Frogs, Komodo dragons, and jaguars.
Yep.
So, as you're going through the forest, it's kind of a tropical rainforest. It's actually pretty dark inside this forest, which is unusual to most of you, especially the Crane, because in Crane lands you have forests, but they are more like
Bamboo.
evergreen forests
Oh,
and
evergreen.
bamboo forests. When you travel to the crablands, it's a little bit more rocky, but it's like mountain forests, like small sections of forests that you're used to seeing. Here, it's like the whole island is alive and growing. It's quite a sight to see. And as you walk through, like Komori and Ramaru are kind of leading the way, and they're pointing out plants to you, and they're like, "Don't touch that one. Don't touch that one. That's actually a snake." They're kind of leading the way, and you guys are able to avoid any real like natural problems, but you both realize that had both Komoris not been leading the way, you probably would have had a hard time getting to this place. The trail that they're following is almost like a deer trail. It's not really like a human path. It's more of an animal path. But they are very, very strict to stay within the path that's been worn down. And after being on the path for a while, you start to realize that it's not actually an animal path. It's that people have traveled through the forest, single file, and stayed on this path religiously. For Kakita, if you would like to open your mind and sense around you, you can do so in the forest.
Open your mind to the perils of the warp.
Yeah. To be
I was going
truthful,
to say there's no perils of the warp.
I would rather make a lore check before I do so.
Okay.
Given what we've seen, he's far more.
Plus, you recently met a witch hunter who had his arm bit off by an alligator spirit.
Yeah, pretty much.
All
I
the
don't
signs
wanna
of warning
die.
you. All the signs of warning you to stay away from
21.
animal spirits.
Lore, spirit realms.
Okay. So, with the lore spirit realms, let's see, what is your check here? 21? Okay. Not all animal spirits are malevolent. A good portion of them are territorial, but for the most part, they're not really malevolent. If you were to open your mind and say you came across something like a Komodo dragon spirit,
Yeah.
that could go both ways because the nature of the way Komodo dragons are. Like a fox would actually be kind of friendly, but possibly playful. Animal spirits tend to have a little bit of a streak of trickery in them.
I'm a crab.
You know
You have heard good things about bat spirits, though, but that may be just part of the propaganda that the Bat Clan's selling right now.
They're selling it. You can buy it down at the store. What is the check to open my mind?
It's just a commune with spirits. Your normal spell.
Okay. Let me look. I'm going to use my Earth Ring. It's Earth Ring K, Earth Ring, right? Or Earth Ring plus school rank?
For the spell,
Yeah.
it is your ring plus rank. Keep your ring versus the mastery times 5 plus 5. So
Okay.
commune being a level 1, your versus is going to be 10 for the target number.
And I get an 11.
All right, perfect. So you open up your mind, and because of your communing, most animal spirits are unlike communing with the kami. Like, kami will come to you because they're a little bit curious by your existence, as is Shugenja. Animal spirits generally kind of do their own thing, like animals in the wild do. And because of the way that the Komori have maintained this island, the animal spirits do stuff like walk up to you. They walk along you because nobody's tried to like hunt them, like deer used to be in America before we started hunting them.
What's around me at the moment?
Right now, what you're seeing is there is a sky fox spirit, is what it's called. It's a great bat. It's much larger than what you would normally see from a bat. There's one of those that kind of sailed through the trees here, and it's found a place to nestle. And where it nestles, a tree, it like lands on a tree, and the tree kind of bends, which everybody else inside the normal realm of walking through the forest can actually see this tree like kind of bend like it's bending in the wind. But Kakita, you know why it's actually. doing that.
I will not make speak with the. I will not make speak. You heard it. Can't unhear it.
Yep.
I will not make conversation with the spirits. I will simply be aware of them, and I'm going. I'll just make a comment that I'm going through this jungle full of my 3 biggest fears:
You
crocodiles,
also
alligators,
see-
and brain aneurysms.
None of those are here. Well,
Brain aneurysm
maybe.
can happen anywhere, anytime.
That's why I said, well, maybe.
I'm gonna roll a failure, and you're gonna be like, you know what? You have a brain aneurysm, son of a bitch.
But you are able to see like frog spirits, which are probably the most amusing to you, because they're kind of following you guys. Like they're just over to the left a little bit, but they're just kind of following you along on the trail. There's about 4 of them. They're traveling together, like hopping as you go.
Okay. I'm gonna speak to Komori and just be like, so I have a question, Komori.
Yeah?
Frog spirits, do you know anything of them living on the land here?
Only what I've read and what people have told me. Ranmaru might be able to answer you better.
His prejudice against minor clans is going to come out, unfortunately, and he's going to
No,
say,
that's fine.
huh, I'm surprised. And then he's going to kind of like catch himself from saying, I thought you were illiterate, and say, so tell me, what have you heard? Notice he did not say read, just for the record.
Since you mentioned Ramaru, she'll kind of pipe up and she says, well, frog spirits are interesting. They're curious creatures. They would tend to follow travelers. They don't do anything necessarily negative or harmful, though their presence for too long can be poisonous to the human spirit.
We should make haste. There are 4 of them with us now.
She kind of like stops for a second and mutters a simple prayer, and she looks over and she says, "Oh, they're no harm, so long as they don't sit on you."
I turn, and Miramoto's got like 30 of them sitting on there, singing a song.
So,
Budweiser.
When spirits make contact, when animal spirits make contact with human spirits, it tends to create problems. The human spirit is very fragile, as I'm sure your teachings taught you. Even kami in too large of a dosage for a human spirit could be quite detrimental. Animal spirits, unfortunately, tend to be a little bit more volatile in nature.
I think you underestimate the strength of spirit of a crab.
She kind of ponders for a minute. She says, "No, a crab spirit is quite ornery."
That is not what I meant. I was referring to myself.
Oh, I was going to say, if you'd like to see crab spirits, they
I
are.
am quite ornery. I appreciate your guidance in this matter. I will keep an eye out to make sure there are no harmful spirits.
She kind of continues walking along, and you guys make it to Kyuden Komori without a whole lot of problems at all. Let me take a look.
Other than, Toshiro just, worrying about every little spirit around us.
Those things eat people, man.
So
they're like
weird,
Ewoks.
like,
they eat people.
I was gonna say it is weird though, because like as you're going along, there are more frogs collecting around you, and it is starting to make you feel unsettled as you leave the forest and enter into the city. That it's hard to define it as a city, but it is because of volume. Like a lot of the structures are what you would see in towns. Like there's simple wooden houses. There's not any real big buildings here, except for the clan's house building. The house building itself is basically a 2-story building, and that's the biggest thing this place has to offer. And they stop at the edge of the woods, and they don't come anywhere closer to the village. But there's like 30 of them now that have been following you. And it was getting really unsettling for a minute there.
I'm gonna look at the frog spirits and be like, booga booga booga.
They hop away.
There you go. There are like 30 of them on you, Miramoto.
I don't feel anything.
Eh. I scared them off.
Right.
You hear this deep, throaty croak sound next to your ear.
Me or him?
Kakita.
I look next to me.
There's just a frog chilling on your shoulder.
Is it a spirit or a frog?
It's a spirit.
Oh. I'm like, hey, buddy. And I'm going to pet it.
It croaks again. It's like, "Brrr,
And what's your name?
brrr."
Hi. I'm Kikita Toshiro. It's a pleasure. And I'll stick my little finger to shake his hand.
He like hops away back into the woods.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Later. I have
I was giving you a
Margaret
look
looks
at
to you and she says, "Most animal spirits don't use our language."
Oh, Miramo's just kind of looking at you like you're kind of crazy.
Can I help you, Miramoto-san?
I think you should focus on helping yourself, but let's move on.
Doesn't the Path of Enlightenment say that your mind works best when it's like a parachute? Open?
What's a parachute?
You've never jumped off the mountains?
No, that seems like a fast way to get broken legs.
It is not unlike silk sheets that my mother used. But it catches the wind so you fall more slowly.
Interesting.
I would think that you and the dragon and the unicorn would be the most knowledgeable of such things. But crab warriors are known to carry all sorts of things beyond the wall. You never know what's going to happen.
Interesting. In the mountains, we rarely have to worry about getting to the bottom so quickly.
Well, when you're thrown up 100, 200 feet in the air by a pissed off uni, usually you got to find a way to, survive the drop.
Indeed.
Well, nonetheless, there was a frog spirit on my shoulder.
Ah, of course there was.
He was orbiting in my ear.
Of course he was.
So, after a few moments, Ronmaru will just kind of shake her head, and she says, "I suppose we must go speak with the daimyo now."
I never liked that part.
He's not such a bad guy.
They're all so demanding. And not necessarily deservedly so for most of them.
I wouldn't say nothing to that. I'll say,
I'll say nothing to that, but then I say something.
no, I'm moving on. I'll say nothing to that, and then I'll say, let's get moving then.
Okay. So when you enter the household, you will find that shoot, his name is not coming up here for some reason. Your cousin, who I found a great picture of and then forgot his name for this game. That was a good job, me. Let me pull up Daimyo Project real quick. Komori the Daimyo. We'll say Daimyo Komori for now. Is inside there, and he is tending to cages full of not cages, but like it's basically an elaborate roof that has what looks like miniature railings coming off of the bottom of the roof, and bats are clung to the railings. He is feeding them at the moment. Well, feeding young ones, I should say. Komori Suku.
Yep. Let's see, how am I going to say this? Just to make sure there's no like other retainers or anybody else in here with him.
No, he's by himself. This is actually pretty common since you're a minor clan.
Just making sure if there was not anybody else. I just wanted to know who else was in the room, kind of thing. I will come in and Junsuke-sama. Komori
He,
teacher.
hold on, just a second.
Yep. You're still muted if you're talking.
Sorry, the dogs are playing and getting loud.
Just
I'm
making
trying
sure.
to tell them to stop. You said Jinsuku-kan? Or Kan?
Sama.
Sama. There we go.
Is
That's
it
the one you
is
used.
it Junsuke or what's the name?
Junsaku. It should be it. I think.
Junsaku?
Junsaku, yeah. We're probably butchering the hell out of it, just like all of the normal names, but whatever. Somebody will let me know in the comments eventually, and then I'll just ignore that. Junsaku turns around, and he looks like almost like you kind of waken him from a trance. He kind of looks around for a moment, and he starts to smile, and
Saku. There you go.
he looks across the room, and he's got very strange appearance for even a Shugenja. He's got very almost feminine features to his face and short cropped hair. He does appear to be wearing the robes of a Shugenja. And I misspoke. Junsaku is the champion.
Which, yeah, because there's no
Which
technical
minor
diamond.
clans don't have daimos; they have champions.
Yeah.
Junsaku smiles and then walks across the room, and he says, Dietrich-san, and kind of bows curtly to you, and then he kind of like looks over and then realizes that you're with Ranmaru because you are like standing in the doorway and lights coming in.
Yep.
He's obviously been inside the dark for most of the day. Like the back clan's house, the castle that they're calling it, is kind of unique in the fact that there aren't a lot of windows inside here. So he's been in the dark for most of the day. So he kind of like squints a little, and then he says, "Oh, you've returned with Ranmaru.
I have.
This is unexpected. Please let me invite you in." And then he kind of turns and then kind of hesitates, and he goes, "Perhaps we should go to another room. The foyer is full with other guests at the moment."
Other guests?
You know that he's talking about the bats.
Okay. That's I wouldn't have thought he would call them other guests. That's why.
Mhm.
All right. Let us go then. We have much to discuss.
Okay. He leads you through a double door in the back, and it opens up into a hallway that's lit with candles. And he takes you through a couple different hallways, and it's almost a maze in how this building is built. And then you come out, and you realize where you are once you come out because it opens up into a small courtyard, and you do need to stop it. It opens up into a small courtyard, and there's a small garden and an orange tree here, which is actually fruiting at the moment because it's late spring. And there's a table. Here's where the servants are. There are a couple rooms that are just off this area, but you recognize this to be the back of the castle, or Kyuden Komori. I say castle, but it's really more of a manor. as far as what you guys are used to.
It's a big home.
Like a samurai with a good amount of status would live in a place like this, but it is not a castle in the terms that the dragon and the Kikita are used to.
So when we eventually sit down, I will say, how have you been doing, Junska? I'm never gonna be able to pronounce Jinsaku.
You can say cousin, actually.
Can I say that? I wasn't sure if it was
You can.
appropriate. Then yeah, I will stick to informalities then. How are you?
I was going to say a family addressal is always considered formal, so
Okay.
that is fine.
So how have you been doing, cousin?
He says, "Good. Forgive me. May the servants bring anyone anything to eat or drink? Was your walk through the forest well?"
As good as it always is. The spirits left us alone.
You.
They left us alone.
They left you alone.
Please forgive him. Not everybody is used to them being in such a high quantity.
He turns to you, Kikita, and he says, "Did they cause you any harm?"
No. But I do
Well-
appreciate the concern. Your land is quite beautiful.
Regardless, they tend to have some ill effects on humans, and if they've made contact with you, then I will arrange for an acupuncturist to visit you later.
I did. You would need to see, or you would need to tend to myself and Miramoto-san. We both had contact with frog spirits.
Okay. This is me as the GM for a moment. Miramoto had no contact with frog spirits. Are you just setting him up to get acupuncture anyways? Because no one knows that except for you.
I'm not trying to be dishonorable and lie, but I am trying to joke around with Miramoto. Miramoto would be able to tell that I'm joking because he's known Toshiro for a little while, and he'd kind of understand his dry sense of humor.
I figured it would
Okay.
only be dishonorable if
Because Komori is going to totally take it serious, and he says, "Very well, I will arrange for it." And he turns to a servant and he says, "Please, have 2 acupuncturists stand by."
Guillermo's actually not going to say anything. He doesn't mind acupuncture.
All right.
it's like a relaxing day.
It's good to
All
know.
right. So, please tell me, cousin, why
He's talking to someone.
did you not expect?
He's talking
Ah.
to someone.
Sorry, I wasn't even looking at the screen for a second.
Pay attention.
I was looking away from the screen.
Nope, no love.
Sorry, apparently my neighbor came by.
It's cool.
Did you tell them to F off that we're playing games?
They should know better.
They should.
I agree.
They're gonna feel the might of the Empire on them.
They are.
The Rukigan Empire.
All right, so he has the servant sent away for the acupuncturist, and you were starting to say, Jeremy?
Yep. I would say. So tell me, cousin, why are you surprised to see me here? You never finished that thought.
I had received news that things in Toshi Rambo had gone quite severe for those that live there. I was afraid that we would have lost one of our warriors.
Not only did you not lose a warrior, you did not lose one of the finer Shugenjas. I have come back to complete my duty, just as you once asked me while sitting here to to find out what had happened to Ranmaru here and bring her back if possible. I have done so.
Yes, you have. And he turns to Ranmaru and he says, "Student, why did you allow yourself to go without reporting it?" And she kind of goes into the details of what exactly happened at Toshi Rambo. You find out during their conversation.
I wince and I'm like, no, don't do that.
Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
Here, would it be
not
inappropriate?
in explicit terms. What she
Okay,
says
I was
is
going to
that-
say, if she gets into explicit, would it be inappropriate for me to pretty much go, it is inappropriate to speak of these things, you might invite it again?
that would be an appropriate action. But what she's assume that my NPCs are playing to etiquette unless I tell you otherwise when I recap things.
Okay.
The only thing that she will come to close to breaching etiquette, which is not a breach of etiquette considering his position, is she informs him that that she may be now tainted. Because being the clan champion, he has to know of these things, so it's not technically a breach there. And he kind of shakes his head and he says,
his name is Komori
Jins-
Jinsaku. Junsaku.
No, Komori-sama. If I may interrupt.
Very well. Ranmaru, you are to return to your studies.
Did you not hear me? Or did he ignore me?
He said very well, and then he turned around and said, before completing his initial thought, he said, very well, Ranmaru, you will return to your studies.
Okay.
We will discuss this further later.
Okay. I have been trained by the Kuni at their Shugenja school. As such, in my possession, I have a very special tea that has special properties. I would encourage her to drink this, and you should probably send for more from the Kuni. I don't know when we'll pass this way again. Otherwise, I would run the errand myself.
Very well. I will take it to her when I continue our discussion. Dietrich.
Yeah.
This being your cousin, you know that he has slight double standards. Just like most of the other bat around, like the elders of your village, which is basically the first generation of bat citizens.
Yeah.
They believe that their future lies first and foremost in Shugenja, and that if their Shugenja fail, it makes the minor clan that is pretty much fledgling at this point look really bad.
Yeah.
So your cousin is actually taking this quite poorly. He's doing his best to remain within etiquette, and you can tell that he is actually infuriated with Ranmaru for allowing herself to be captured so foolishly and be used for Maho, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to point anything out. I know that would be rude as fuck, but...
You are also aware that your village has ways to deal with taint as well. It's not common knowledge, but your village has secreted away tainted children and raised them to be functional members of society.
Can you repeat that, because you lagged out just a second on my side, so I missed part of that.
So it is not common knowledge, but the Bat Clan has secreted away people in the past, children specifically, who were born tainted, and raised them to be functional members of society. So you know that your clan does have ways to deal with the taint as well.
Now, deal with as in like just trying to figure a way to let people live with it, or deal with as in, cure, actually having a way to cure.
to live with, not cure.
Okay.
But they have stuff that is similar to jade pearl tea.
Okay.
Specifically, it's never mentioned as to what exactly they do, but there is a tainted child, or a child that was born with taint that was raised among the bat and came out okay because of everything.
Probably because of our connection with the animal spirits. That's because that's generally seems to always be the huge theme of the Bat Clan, is their connection with the original Komori spirits, and how like we actually stay connected with them. Okay. That is some good information to know.
And so as you guys are kind of getting settled in, regardless of what you told them initially about food and drink, servants will be bringing out small snacks and things like that because it suddenly occurred to you that it is about lunchtime, and it would be appropriate for them to bring them out.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to make sure, what are we eating? What is he getting for lunch for us?
What you are getting is a fish that is native to the region. It's kind of the equivalent of a piranha, to be honest. It's a little bit of a bony fish. There's not a whole lot of meat on it. You're getting a little pallet of rice, and then there's some fruits that are on the side. And the fruits are things like bananas, papayas, star fruits, things like that. There seems to be a lot more fruit on the table, which is the way that they serve is a little bit different than what you're used to. For those of you that are not from here, it would be served in family style, which means that there's a big bowl of fruit, there's a big bowl of fish, there's a big bowl of rice, and you're given little bowls, and you're supposed to spoon out your own stuff. Usually when you go to a castle, they give you each your own individually prepared plates.
Yep, we're American here. Makes sense now. Without even saying anything to anybody, Dietrich will dig in as normal.
Mm-hmm.
And can be completely oblivious to Kakita and Muramoto's possible plight for not figuring out how to eat properly here.
I mean, it's just like they would at their normal, like their family's house.
Yeah,
it's just unusual to see it in such a formal setting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Possible plight.
So, Chris, I assume that the Kuni, no matter what they're doing, or the crab, I should say, no matter what they're doing, are always eating, like, military fast.
Not so much in the schools, but yeah, generally they do eat kind of quickly to begin with, and they usually, like, if you go to the wall, the cities along the wall, they always serve the members on the wall, and it's always like cafeteria-style military food. They, like, you present the tray, they flop on some stuff, and you eat what you were given, kind of deal.
Yeah. So I will, when they do that, I will, say the prayer, thank you, and all that stuff, and I'll put on a small amount of rice and a small piece of fish, because that is how the crab eat. And then I will eat, and I will thank them, but I eat, like, fast.
Okay. The crab eat the way that goblins do is kind of the joke, because the crab will get a singular bowl, usually on the wall, and they'll keep their bowl with them forever, and they'll just fill up their bowl, and that's how they eat, is there's a little bit of rice, a fish inside there, and then they go back to the wall, and they usually eat on the wall itself with their bowl.
Do I have my own bowl?
You probably not, since you haven't served on the wall.
I wrote it in my out of game. I wrote it in my backstory that I have.
Oh, did you? I must have missed that.
That Kuni Taru, because I took this from the previous game, he was so everybody's going to serve on the wall. I said that was like he trained me partially on the wall. Like I had to.
Murdoch,
yeah, for schooling on the wall, that would be different. I mean, like if you do a full service by yourself on the wall, that's when you would have had your own bowl.
Okay. All right.
Murdoch, to be fair, when I played that up, it was more of just to make everybody feel bad for not being able to serve on the wall. It was supposed to be a joke. I like the fact that you took it seriously.
I did. So, and I figured Cooney in his old age has taken it seriously, especially after he saw what was beyond the wall.
Nope. He would still joke about it.
Well, regardless, do you also take food, Miyamoto?
Yeah, I'll probably be more hesitant about it. It's like, this is unorthodox. Eventually, I'll just like, okay, then just start eating with everyone else.
You're all
Okay.
hungry. You're not getting enough food.
The kind of table that he sits you at is one of those low-seated tables. It's the late months of spring, but traditionally during spring and summer, a lot of people eat outside inside their courtyards if they happen to have one. And that's kind of what you guys are doing right now, is just enjoying the spring breeze and eating outside. When it comes to the fish, this is probably the most awkward bit for you. Maybe not for Kikita or Komori, but like, because Kikita would have ate with his hands in other occasions, but the fish you pretty much have to eat with your hands because they're bony.
Mm.
So that poses a little bit of an awkward moment for Miyamoto as he kind of like picks at it with the chopsticks and then realizes that he's going to have to use his hands.
The travesty.
This food is unaccommodating.
It is, however, not bad.
Hmm.
The fish itself is a little bit like, not like a fishy taste, but it's got like an earthy taste to it.
Tastes like chicken.
It's kind of an unusual fish. But you go through the meal and he's mostly quiet during the meal, because he's asked you the initial pleasantries and stuff like that already. Once the meal is over, he pushes aside his bowl and he says, "Well, you and your friends may stay here as long as you need. If you would prefer, they can stay inside the castle."
As much as I would like to invite them to my home, I do not believe my grandfather would be the most accommodating towards guests. So please.
Yes, and he kind of hesitates for a moment and he says, "I'm sure Volker would at least prefer a heads up before they come over. You don't want them to receive the greeting that I once received." You remember back to a fond childhood memory where Junsuku came over to play with you, and your grandfather almost chopped his head off?
Hmm.
Because your grandfather during that time in his life was a little bit cautious of the fact that he was a gaijin amongst the Rukugani people. Some of them were not the most favorable people to be around.
Now he's just a crazy old white guy.
He slowly gained acceptance.
Well, I'm sure this castle is more than adequate for our needs. I would not want to put undue strain upon your servants. Surely there's an inn somewhere that you would recommend that we could help bring commerce to this town.
Junsuku kind of says, "Well,
By the way, Chris, I use that term because the mantis, which these are
yes.
people are heavily influenced of, are big with commerce and they respect the crane's ability to deal with commerce. So I'm trying to play that up.
Yeah, I got where you were going with it."
Okay.
Jinsugu kind of smiles and he says, "It would be no bother to my family if you were to stay in our home. But If you wish, there is an inn inside the village, but it only has one room. I would love to say that this is a city. Its title is quite deceiving. Uh, my home is not much of a castle.
I have seen some that are far larger, but far less beautiful in their construction in simplicity to complement the land and the spirits that dwell within. I will, Miramoto-san, please stay here with these great people, and I will attend the inn to help this city flourish.
Mirabeau will arch an eyebrow at you, but then it's like, very well.
Okay. So because he mentioned that it is his family, Dietrich, you would know this already, but for the two guests, you realize that there are no servants. It is quite literally like his brothers and sisters and mother who are tending to you guys here in the castle.
I figured as a minor clan they may have had one or two servants, which is why I wasn't going to stay.
Yeah, he does have a servant who tends to his house when he's away, but he doesn't have like multiple servants.
Yeah.
So, I know that some of you decided to do gifts. If you wanted to, the evening would be the appropriate portion.
Yes.
Because he's basically invited you all over for a formal dinner as well.
I just want to say this outside game. Brendan did have a gift.
Yes, he did.
I just wanted to make sure because that was actually a thing he was looking forward for. I know he was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know I have a gift also.
I was gonna say if he's not able to give it this game because of timing or whatever, we'll do like a vignette for that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I know he was actually trying.
Yep.
But yeah, I have a gift ready, but that's in the evening, and that's in probably a couple hours from now.
Yeah, it is.
I choose not to attend the formal dinner.
He
Or I will
That's
attend,
fine.
but not eat.
Okay. He says, well, you are new to the village in any case. It is not a market day, unfortunately, but if you would wish to travel amongst my people, I'm sure you would find some new oddities that you could take back to your homeland.
Very well. I appreciate the offer.
For now, I must tend to my
Or
student.
Sama. Yeah.
He says, for now, I must tend to my student, and he's kind of wraps his. He has very long sleeves, even for a backland member, and he kind of wraps them around his hands so that they don't drag behind him while he walks. And he folds his hands into each other behind his back and immediately just walks down the hallway and leaves you guys. The whole time he's been around, he's been kind of aloof, and Dietrich, you know that to be just the way he is.
I just want to say, as he starts to walk away, I will. I'll tell Kaji and Toshiro, please excuse me for just a minute. I have one last thing to say to my cousin.
Please deal with your family matters.
And I will catch up with him.
Okay. You catch up to him. He's walking down a long, dark hallway. You know that the training grounds for the Shugenja are actually inside the heart of Kyuden Komori.
Yeah.
Basically, there is a bat shrine inside the center of this castle, and that's usually where they study, and it's usually pitch black, for like minus a few candles for students to read at. He's kind of heading down the staircase when you catch up to him. It's an area that you've been to only once when you were tested for potential, and they found out that you had no potential as a Shugenja.
It does bring up bad memories. Yes. Thank you for reminding me. Um, so as I catch him, I'll just say, cousin, please wait.
He
I've
he kind of like almost kind of hesitates. You can tell he's slowed his normal walk, and he says, "No, come with me. Walk with me," is what he says, and he starts down the staircase.
I'll hesitate for a second on the staircase because I've never been. I don't think I've ever been that far. Then I'll go.
Okay. The staircase itself is it's not really like a spiral, but it's kind of a square, and you're going around the perimeter of the square down.
Yep.
And technically, this shrine is actually underground a few floors because the building itself is 2 stories. You are going 3 stories down. So.
Pretty deep.
Mm-hmm.
So as we're walking down, I will after like a few moments, I will start speaking, and I know this might sound a bit informal, but I will say what happened in Toshi Rambo was is definitely something to reflect upon. But there were a lot of forces at work that very few, even those the most experienced could have a hard time accounting for. There were Jade magistrates there who also succumbed to problems to some of those problems. I'm only saying all this because I know how you are with your students. I'd like you, if please, as just even a favor or just something to consider. Take that into consideration when disciplining Ramaru.
He lets you finish, and then he waits a few seconds, and he pulls out a paper charm and mutters a small prayer over the charm, and a flame bursts to light on the end of this charm, and he hands it to you. It's no brighter than a small candle, but what he has done is he has summoned a fire spirit to reside on the paper, and it's going to slowly eat away this little paper charm with a prayer written on it. And he's mainly doing that for courtesy for you. You know that he's pretty well adapted to the dark, and rumor has it that he has the vision of a bat. You don't know the truth to that or not, but you know your original founder was a bat spirit or half bat spirit himself, so maybe.
I wouldn't at least put it past at least the champion to have such abilities.
So he kind of changes the subject and he says, Dietrich, what is your intent with this clan? You show no promise as a student of the Shugenja arts. You went away to a mantis school, yet you still wear armands. You wear that contraption your grandfather brought with him from Eisen. But what do you intend to do?
I know I've never had the gift of to be able to commune with the spirits. I only learned from the mantis, as is our way with most who don't have the gift. I choose this. I choose to keep them on because it is my home. It is my family. You say this is contraption. I say it is a way forward. Once I master this contraption, as you consider it, I'll master I'll master a way of thought that most in this empire probably have not thought about. My goal with keeping close to the family, close to the clan, is to show that there could be more for there could be more for those who lack the power, such as you such as you and what our clan is founded on. My dedication is to protect those who have that power, because not always will you have the strength to go on your own.
He nods and he walks a few more steps. You know, you are the first warrior to return wearing Armand's. Since joining the alliance with the minor clans, our warriors have chosen a different path. All have trained with the Mantis and lived with the Mantis from that point forward. Have we created such a hostile environment for you?
I wouldn't say hostile, but it is hard to tread upon such a land where only those who can see beyond what's physically there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Tard. Sorry about that, Chris.
It's okay.
It's hard to tread upon a land where. Okay, I'm trying to get at is it's hard for us to for those of us who do not have the sight or the powers to speak or commune with the kami. And with that, most in the clan tend to, even without thinking, drive away those who have no power. You make us feel ostracized. I have chosen to fight against that thought, to create a way of understanding that would hopefully keep those in my position closer to our roots.
Well, then forgive my ignorance. I was curious.
I understand that my way of thinking is definitely odder than most, but I must not let that keep me down.
He starts to kind of smile and he says, odd is our way. We have never been the most
Conventional?
conventional, and he starts laughing as you say it, clan. Allow me to show you something that you never got to see. You say that you wish a way to protect your people. Your people are connected to the spirit realm, even you. We are inherently one with the bat. I know that you have a new friend. And Abun kind of sticks his head out of one of the folds in your kimono, and he's just like, me.
As he does so, I kind of pet his head.
You are more connected than you realize. I believe that it is your grandfather's blood that makes your connection feel weaker. But if you continue your path, then this is something you need to see. And You get to the bottom of the staircase, and he opens up a set of simple screen door, double doors, and inside is a hardwood, like that's been polished over, and it feels like a small, like a dojo, like a training room for swordsmanship.
Mhm.
And at the end of the room is a shrine that has been set up to the bat spirits. You see that Ron Maru has 10 scrolls open that are just lining across the floor with different Shugenja prayers and things like that written all over them. And she is basically taking them in, trying to memorize their lessons and things like that. There are incense burning on the statue, and Junsuku hands you an incense, and he says, "If you wish, you may leave an incense with the altar."
I'll do so.
Okay. As you get close to the altar, you see what Jinsuku was getting at. When you get there, the altar itself is actually strange. It, like, as you get close to it, you can feel yourself leaving your body almost. Is kind of the best way to describe it. Like, it feels like you're kind of having an out-of-body experience, but you can feel that your body is there. You can see things in kind of like a slow motion feel. And like there's almost a blur to your movements as you look around. And then you get close to the shrine, and you can see that the shrine itself, it appears to be a rather large bat's skeleton, but now that you're kind of looking at it, you can see that there's a spirit attached to it. It's one of those sky fox spirits, the great bats. And you can actually see it now. And when you set down your incense, it picks it up with its feet, and it kind of looks at it and brings it close and then places it down and looks at you very curiously. It seems to have children that are nestled up against its chest. And it kind of opens up its wingspan for you and exposes the children to you. Jinsuku's across the room, and he seems to be watching in curiosity about the whole thing. What would you like to do?
I will, well, I mean, the spirit realm is new to me in the first place, but I will inspect it. I will, as in, like, I will. It's something that he does. He would count the number of babies. He would try to determine the physical size, because this is what he's used to thinking about.
Okay. So you
So
kind
he's
of
just
go through
examining it.
you go through the kind of analytics of examining it, and you're like, okay, it has a 6-foot wingspan. The body itself is about 3 feet in length. If you were to give it a weight, judging by its dimensions, you figure it's probably going to weigh about 100 pounds or more. You go down the list, and you're like, okay, there's 8 babies here. They all seem to be about 1/3 the size of the adult. So they're probably pretty young, but close to the age that they would be leaving and being on their own.
Mhm.
And it suddenly occurs to you that these sky fox spirits are actually quite rare. Kakita never mentioned that he saw one overhead, but you've never actually seen or experienced one before this. You know that there are legends of them coming, and that they are considered to be a great blessing to your village. But there's not a whole lot of them in existence, and so the fact that there's a mother here that's taking care of their young is actually quite an important thing that you realize doing this kind of analytic look over the object. And you can tell that the spirit of the sky fox is actually attached to the shrine, so the mother will probably stay here and possibly carry on to create more children, but the children themselves are free to enter the world once they mature. And now that you are past this point, you're going to notice that that Abu has his own little animal spirit that is actually kind of shown alive, and because you've actually crossed into the Chikashudo.
Chikashudo, yeah.
And here you can see that Abun is kind of poked out of your kimono folds again, and he seems to be kind of curious about the whole thing himself.
Um, let's see. What is Abun looking at exactly? Like he's just curious in general, or is he looking at anything specific?
He's just kind of looking around. Um, you know that you shouldn't linger here too long, especially with Abu, because there is a chance that he could become stuck in the Chikishoto. You as a human can't get stuck there. Well, you can, but not in the same sense. Like you could get lost in the Chikishoto and then eventually find your way out, or possibly die over there.
But his actual spirit
But
will get stuck
he
here.
may actually get trapped here, which
Mhm.
which you know that you don't know the exact amount of time, but you do know that that's a possibility.
Yep. Um, so while still examining the bat, I will speak over to Jinsaku,
Mhm.
and I'm like, so this is one of the gateways. If I'm
Jinsaku does something you've heard him do before. He imitates bat sounds, using a little bit of Shugenja trickery, kind of.
yeah,
Um, but you could tell that that's what he's doing because you can see him, but they come across as words to you now that you're in the gateway, and it says, yes, this is one of them. This is a safe one. We are watched over by the mother bat.
I've never seen a sky fox before. I did not know that one had been so close, yet so far.
We protect her as she protects us. With this realm, with this entry into the realm, we are able to safely step inside and learn what we can from the animal spirits. It has been a great boon to our magics. In fact, without their assistance, I doubt that our linguistics magics would be as strong as they are.
But why bring me here? I have no magical talent.
No, but if you intend to stay with this clan and become a warrior of it, then you should understand the Shugenjas of this clan. No, you just want Cheez-Its. That's not happening. Sorry.
Um, not once did I think understanding would be so far beyond just reading.
Our ways are unorthodox. You will probably not see another clan who does something like this. Though your dragon friend may have some contact with dragon spirits. That's what the rumors would suggest anyways.
Well, I'd like to believe that if we can do this, then those rumors might be justified.
I'm inclined to believe it as well. We do know of one dragon that stayed with his clan, even to this day. But I'm inclined to believe that they may have more around that than he himself may even be aware of. He kind of pauses, and you can see he's talking to Ronmaru, but it sounds like you're underwater. And she stands up and she bows and she leaves the room. And then he turns to you and he starts using his bat speech again. And he
Yeah.
says, you must go now. If you linger any longer, you will risk your friend.
I will give a bit of a smirk and say, I was worried about that as well. I was not sure how long I could linger here.
Time works differently there.
Let's go then.
Okay. When you leave, it's almost like walking into like foam or something. Like it's not like a full pushback, but like as soon as you step through, you know that you've stepped through because it becomes physical. You feel the weight of your body again. And that's why I mean it's kind of like walking through foam because like you can feel that something's kind of slowing you down, but it doesn't really slow you down.
Yeah.
And it takes you a moment to kind of get used to the way your body feels again. And Oblin seems to be fine. And he says we should return. The guests will be arriving for dinner soon. And it suddenly occurs to you that you are quite hungry, like you've been gone for hours.
I will say dinner so soon. Didn't we have the whole afternoon?
Our afternoon has been spent. As I said, the spirit realm works differently. And do not take it to heart if you cross over to the spirit realm. Sometimes time acts faster, other times it acts slower. Here, it acts faster. What you experience there as a short period of time is actually quite a number of hours.
By the way, Chris, if you were referring to Togashi, he's technically dead now. So.
Not everybody
Spirits.
believes that.
Spirits dead.
Well, half dragon. It's complicated.
Exactly. If you could say it's complicated, then this shit might be else be going on. Dragon propaganda.
I was going to say, to be fair, the Bat Clan founder is also half bat spirit, so that's why he's a little doubtful.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'll make sure to be wary anytime I do enter the spirit realm.
Of course. So for the other two of you, what would you like to do during the couple hours before dinner?
I imagine get acupuncture.
Free acupuncture. Nothing wrong with this.
How long does that take?
Just about an hour. It's fairly quick. What they do is they basically are putting the needles in at what would be considered like your chakra points, and they tell you that this is due to the imbalance that animal spirits can do on a human soul. This kind of recalibrates your spirit. They kind of talk you through it. They do the little needles, and then at the end they ask you if you would like to do cupping to remove any toxins from your body.
Sure.
Why not?
Okay.
Free toxin
So
removal
they,
too? Jeez.
So they heat little bulbs of light or bulbs of glass over a candle, and then stick them to you, which draws the blood to the surface. And medically, it does nothing for you, but according to them, it removes toxins.
Hey man, don't tout our medical ways.
Tom, if you have something to do, you should do it because I have something that's not necessarily involved, but
Well, just like a little thing. Like I
That's
don't
pretty
know.
much. I was gonna say that's pretty much all they do. It takes about an hour and a half to get it all done. You will end up sore after the cupping, but because you know how sugar pills work in the brain, you guys feel great.
I'm not sure if like they would be the ones who also do this. But, like, I would ask about tattoos. Like, not to get one, but Kaji is actually a tattoo artist, and he's curious to see other people's work.
You just want a bat tattoo.
Okay.
tattoo.
Is that Togashi tattoo? Might be.
The Tagashi tattooed monks, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if they had a bat one, but regardless.
They don't have a tattooed monk in the village here, but they do have some tattoo artists because the mantis are also kind of big on tattoos.
Sailors and all.
And they actually do a different style of tattoos than what you're used to. So when you ask about it, they'll point you in the right direction. And I wouldn't say it's a parlor. It's more like a guy's house that you go to. Uh, and he's got some sketches and things like that. And the style that he does of tattoos is non-traditional. Like the tattoos that you've grown up with what the Chagashi monks do, they're very like super traditional tattoos that the monks would get. So like when somebody gets a dragon tattoo, it's always like a coiled dragon that's in this specific shape. Like their tattoos seem to be a little bit uh, more ornamental. They're almost like Yakuza tattoos to kind of give you an idea.
Hmm.
They also seem to be much larger in scope. Like whereas a Togashi monk will eventually become fully tattooed, they start off with let's do full sleeves. Like that's kind of how they do things.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Mostly Kaji's gonna like talk shop, as it were, and discuss techniques. He's a bit of an amateur tattoo artist, but he still has some curiosity to him about it.
Okay. You find out that they use a different technique as well as far as tattooing. You use the very traditional method of single needle and putting that in by hand and basically threading the skin is what it's called.
Hmm.
They use a pinion system where it's like a little board with a nail and then they just kind of tap it in and then they move the board and they kind of tap and they do arcs basically.
Hmm. Cool.
And because you're kind of interested in that, that is going to eat up a couple hours because that's what happens when you like tattoos and you go to a tattoo parlor.
All right.
Kakito, what would you like to do?
Ron Maru, as far as I'm aware, was sent to her room.
To the Shugenja school to study.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. So I assume she's going to be at dinner beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I will spend the time putting the face paint on. And then I will ask somebody where, before I put the face paint on, I'll ask somebody where Ron Maru's room is and say that there are a few things that I must wrap up before we leave that we discussed on our travels.
They'll tell you where her family's house is in the village.
Okay.
When you arrive, Ron Maru's mother will answer the door and alert you that she has not returned home.
Okay. Will you be expecting her this evening?
She, as far as I am aware, she is disposed or at the champion's disposal at the moment.
Okay.
When he has relinquished her from her duties, she will return. Unfortunately, I cannot give an accurate time.
All right. I will head back to the castle and ask where the school is.
Okay. So Jinsuko's mother, which we will call
Jinsuko's mother.
we'll call her Moshi. Moshi says, unfortunately, the school is not for visitors.
I understand. Where is the location so that I may wait outside for her? It is a very important matter.
You may wait here if you'd like. The school students happen to come by the castle very often.
Okay. I will take out my chair and apply my face paint and wait right there.
Okay. I take it you're actually waiting in the courtyard, not the foyer, because that's where
Wherever
she
she said I could wait right there.
Okay. So you sit in the foyer with all the bats and apply your face paint.
And wait.
Okay. After a few hours, Ron Maru will come up and
I
she
literally
appears...
sit there.
Okay. After a few hours, Ron Maru will come up. She walks past you.
Ron Maru. I don't say san, don't say sama. We need to speak.
she turns and or before she turns, she kind of, you can see that she has moved her hand up and she's wiped at her face. She turns around and she says, "Yes, Kikita-san. How can I help you?"
We must go somewhere private.
Very well. She'll follow your lead because you're asking her to go somewhere private.
Wherever she would like to go, wherever she feels the most comfortable, is where I'll tell her.
She says, "All right, very well."
For the record, I very rarely wear my face paint, and she would know this. The only other time she's seen the face paint is when we were in the zombie-infested area, and stuff like that. So.
But she
And then
doesn't know
during
you
the
well
ceremony.
enough to make a big deal out of it. So, she says, "Very well," and she will walk you out. She takes you through the village itself. It's kind of like what you were told before. It's not a market day, but there are some stalls that are open, like the bakeries, or the baker has his wide window open. You can see that there are breads and things like that cooling on the counter. After she's taken you through the village, there's a small lake that is off to the side of the village, and there's nobody out there. She says, "No one should be coming by. I am rare. I'm this lake's rare companion."
Okay. As soon as she said that, or as soon as she says that, I take out my chair again and I sit down. Or I take it off my back and sit, and I'll say, "You believe yourself to be tainted. I have seen no physical effects of the taint on you, but that's what we're here to figure out. May I please see your hands?"
Okay. She shows you her hands.
What are her nails starting to get horny or thorny?
Nope.
Okay. I'll ask to inspect her head.
Okay. No.
I will arch an eyebrow and I will say, "Why not?"
We are still in a public place. It would be inappropriate to do so. Had I realized this was your intention, I would have taken you somewhere else.
Then please lead on. I have no reason to suspect that you have entered a level of taint that would need to be dealt with, but I need to make sure you're not hiding it either. Hiding it is illegal in the Empire, I'm sure you understand, which is why you told your champion.
Okay. She will take you back to her own home and ask her mother to leave her side of the house for a while.
Yeah.
Because she's an adult, she has like a section of the house that is hers technically.
Yeah.
And she dismisses her servant.
Okay. I'll do a fairly thorough exam of like checking the hair, make sure it's not turning brittle, checking the fingernails, asking about nausea, vomiting, nightmares, like the typical, this is what an infection is. I need to make sure that you're not that. Is she sickly? Is she tired? Does Jade burn her skin yet? Is she having a lot of nightmares? Muscle
Jade
tremors?
does not appear to burn her flesh.
Okay.
Most of your questions come back negative. However, she is experiencing nausea and nightmares, which have caused her sleeplessness.
Okay. I will say to her that although she seems some of those symptoms that she reports, and I'll just say, it's not all inclusive, but some of those symptoms point to an active infection. It doesn't seem that. It seems like he essentially says that her symptoms are probably worse than normal because of what she was put through, and not necessarily that she's actively tainted. So that's what he says. If Jade does not burn her at all, I will inform her that she's not technically tainted yet.
Okay.
I will then instruct her, I will tell her that she should drink the Jade Pearl tea or once a day and inform the witch hunters that you will need it. Otherwise, they will come looking for you and tell you that you're smuggling the crap you're tainted and kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they do. Um, I will then stand up after this and I'll put my chair on my back and I will apologize for the inconvenience and I will bow deeply and I will tell her, you must understand it is everyone's responsibility to guard against the taint, especially with this new source joining the fray. We must be more vigilant now than ever, and I apologize for putting you through this.
Okay. Um, so I will remind you of something that happened last session. You found out that there is a separate form of taint.
Yes,
you can also inspect for that if you would like.
I don't know that. Okay, I'll inspect for that.
It is very similar problems, but the key difference is you also have a piece of crystal that you were given. And crystal would cause the same effect that jade would if they were Shadowlands tainted.
Okay, so then I will, since the player forgot that, and I assume the character wouldn't. I will not say that she is. I will test her with crystal as well.
Okay, and then lastly, she is also experiencing conditions associated with pregnancy. Throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So you press crystal to her flesh, and when you lift it up, she doesn't seem to have, she doesn't feel like she was burned, but you can see that there is a mark on her skin.
Okay. Oh, I may have to kill her anyway. Oh, not good. Chris, I hate you.
I had to remind you, it was only fair.
I'm going to look at her and say, may I do a quick medical examination?
She kind of is taken back because it was a physical inspection for taint first, and then she says, "Yes. Do you require a servant?"
No, this is not the type of thing that a servant should be here for.
Very well.
Or essentially, is she asking me because she's going to feel uncomfortable, and she's asking if this isn't due to the taint? Is that what I'm getting from her?
So normally a doctor has a servant in case there's blood, so that they don't have to actually physically touch it themselves. But the other reasoning is when you are a male doctor with a female patient, usually there is a little bit of the female patient will be behind the screen with a trusted servant who will administer certain tests for you, kind of deal, to maintain their dignity as a woman.
Okay.
So she's kind of trying to politely ask you if she can have a servant, but phrasing it as, "Do you require a servant?" Because that's what etiquette says.
I will look at her and say, "You may speak plainly with me here. We are alone, and I have a mon depicting the Kuni. Although my main mon is of the Kakita, please understand that I speak plainly as well. If you would feel more comfortable with a female here, I understand. But I believe that this is something that you may not be ready to share, if it is what I think it is."
She kind of thinks about it and she says, "No, I will have my servant attend to me."
I will.
She'll call her servant and she will step behind a silk screen.
Okay. I will do the appropriate, or I will administer, quote unquote, the appropriate tests for this.
Okay. What exactly are you looking for a medical test? Are you looking to see if she's pregnant, or are you looking for something else? Okay.
See if she's pregnant.
So you ask her a lot of questions because, unfortunately, without proper newfangled technology for medicine, determining pregnancy is actually kind of hard until they start showing signs of it.
Yeah.
She has been experiencing, again, nausea, sleeplessness, a little bit of nightmares, all of which can be associated with pregnancy. And the one thing that kind of catches you a little bit weird is because she's going through her symptoms and she's kind of recounting her past couple days. She mentions just kind of like in complete passing and moves along that her feet have been sore.
When's the last time you bled? That's literally the noise that Kakita makes. He goes, when's the last time you bled?
She thinks and she says,
I'm waiting for her to get the picture.
She says, unfortunately, I'm not entirely certain how long I stayed underneath the castle.
Can I put that information together?
Yeah, you haven't actually taken the time to figure it out, but she's been down, or she was underneath the castle for about a month and a half.
Okay.
She was also traveled with you for 1 month.
Okay. So then I will not give her the times. I'll say, did you bleed while we were traveling?
No.
Did you bleed while you were under the castle?
No.
How long before being under the castle?
Just a few days.
I will tell her that the exam is done and she can...
Okay. She gets back dressed properly and comes out from behind the screen. And she says, is my servant required any longer?
She is not. And I will thank her for being discreet.
Okay. The servant will leave. Before she leaves, because Ranmaru has caught on to what you're suggesting, she says, you will tell no one of this. Servant nods and then leaves.
I'll look at her and I will say, do you know who the father is?
No. Unfortunately, my time underneath the keep was...
Are you still virtuous to your knowledge?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, my time underneath the keep became a blur. As they drained blood away from me, I lost track of time and days and even my surroundings.
How important is Shigenja to the Bat Clan?
Immensely. It's a minor clan that's basically new. They have like 10 Shugenja total. And no samurai.
How many?
Or no Bushi, rather. You are not certain of that, but like you know that their Shugenja is such a small amount. Like they've got them spread out through the Empire, and the Empire values them greatly as well.
So, Chris, I know the proper thing to do is to tell her to commit seppuku.
Well, the proper thing to do would be to inform her champion, given the state of her clan's size.
So, according to just out of game, from player knowledge to character knowledge, the character is drawing on the player's knowledge that if you have an active infection of taint, that if you are you are not allowed to become pregnant.
Correct.
And if you are pregnant when you contact the taint, you are supposed to
abort. Yes. Which there is ways to do it.
Okay. If there's ways to do it, then so be it. But I'm worrying that this is more of a spell that I'm not unaware of. So I'm going to make a Maho check. Also, Chris, I have to ask this question because it was something I found out while reading the Maho rules. If I read any full incantations, I technically know the Maho spell.
Yes, you would. You have not read any full incantations. The only incantation that you stood a chance of reading was the circle, and you specifically did not read it, and then someone just touched it.
Okay, I'm making sure because, again, I was reading through that stuff. So I'm going to make a knowledge Maho.
Okay.
Check here. So I've got to attempt to find out whether, and I'm going to roll void with this because this seems very important. I'm going to pretty much attempt to. Void just means I roll extra dice, right?
Void can be spent a couple different ways. If you use it on a skill, it's an extra keep die.
Okay.
I think it's actually a roll keep, but
Yeah, actually, it's 1k1.
27.
Okay.
I rolled 3 9s, a 2, and a 5.
What are you looking for? You said
Excuse me.
Maho?
Hold on. 29 or 28, 33 because I'm 5k4.
Okay.
So with Maho, am I aware of any spells or anything, stupid that would impregnate her with a demon child? I
Kind
know
of.
there's like summon Oni and stupid shit like that.
Yeah. The short answer is kind of.
Oh, no.
It's not commonplace at all. With Maho, you can technically taint a child before it's been born. Shadowlands can actually do the same thing, which is the initial concern. As far as a spell that would be like, you're going to have a demon baby, you can't think of any.
Okay.
But you're also dealing with a type of taint that I hate that they named them both taint because it's really confusing.
The Lying Darkness or the Darkness.
Yeah, you're
Can we just
you're
call
dealing
it Dark
with
Taint?
yeah, you're dealing with dark taint. That's what we'll call it for now on.
Okay.
You're dealing with dark taint, and you don't know what it can do. That's part of the problem with the Lying Darkness.
Well, there's actually a forbidden knowledge, the Lying Darkness. So.
There is, but it's still a really hard thing to understand and contemplate because it changes. It is everything that doesn't exist. So, in a sense, it could be anything.
We need to speak to your clan champion.
Very well. He is indisposed at the moment, but I'm sure we can speak with him after dinner.
Ahead of time, that judging by his initial reaction to your discovering that you were tainted, he might not take this news well. So we may want to approach him together.
I know that he will be indisposed until after the meal is over. I suppose that would be an appropriate time to speak with him.
For the record, Toshiro looks legitimately saddened and grieved by this news. He looks like legitimately bothered by this news. Not like I need to kill this bitch type bothered, but more of a this is so bad it's starting to poison the young and all that stuff, and how are we ever going to deal with this? Blah, blah, blah. That's sort of down.
Yep.
So I'm going to try to find Miramoto-san afterwards.
Okay. You still have a few hours before the meal is over. You will find Miramoto-san kind of leaving the parlor, and he's got a couple sketches with him. I imagine that Miramoto and this tattoo artist have exchanged notes.
Yep.
Like you guys are trading flash to each other.
I'll lead into your air, and I'll say, Kaji, we need to speak.
It's like they'll look at you for a moment. It's like in private.
Yes.
Lead on.
He is wearing his face paint, by the way, which you have been around long enough to know what that means.
He's like, okay. Well, in that case, he'll just say lead on. He won't even bother with it in private.
He's actually also has his chair, so you know that he sits down when he's fighting and stuff. So, We'll go to the courtyard that was private beforehand, that I was led to.
Okay. Yeah, you come out here. It's just as private as it was before. I mean, it's still considered outside and technically public. So handsy stuff is off limits, but other than that.
So I will tell you that we may need to beat a hasty retreat. And not so many words.
Have we found yet another conspiracy of darkness and lies?
No, same conspiracy, just manifests in a different way. That I don't think this clan is going to be very happy to get that news. And they may have to deal with it swiftly and not want guests around when they do it.
Can you go into further detail?
It would be inappropriate and a dishonor to me and the subject if I did. But as a friend and as a traveling companion, I thought you should know.
I will not settle in too much, I suppose.
I will inform you, or your wisdom should figure out that we've only traveled with 2 Bat Clan members.
It does not take much of a guess, no.
Very well. I will let you know after dinner, or after I am done after dinner, if we should head out sooner rather than later. If you could, before then, secure some Rukagani ponies in case, or some ponies in case.
Would there be any ponies that could lead us through this jungle? Like, honest question. I don't know.
With how thick it was, you probably don't think that there are many ponies on this island.
Yeah, it's like, in that case, like, I will just flat out point out, it's like, I can't lead us out of here, and there are no horses that could do so either. If we are to leave, it would have to be by Dietrich.
You're stuck. Welcome to the Bat Clan.
On the bright side, it is an island, so if you pick one direction and you go long enough, you will hit the coast.
Yeah, after tripping over God knows how many animal spirits.
Well then, prepare to leave in the appropriate direction.
I was like, I think it's that way.
Let us. Shall we head to dinner?
Let's.
I was going to give a gift of half of a mask reminiscent of the Battle of Toshi Rambo, but given my findings, I think that might be a tad out of taste.
Alright, to dinner.
Okay.
That was actually going to be my gift, Chris, was part of the mask, but
I ruined it. It's okay. That's what I do. I'm the GM. I'm here to ruin all things.
Yep.
All right, so you guys head to dinner. Dinner is much the same fare that you had for lunch. You get the feeling that this is a pretty simple village. They have pretty much the same diet all the time. Which, I mean, you've lived amongst crabs, so nothing unusual there.
This is better than what I normally get. There was one time my sensei made me live on rice alone because he said I hadn't earned the right to take the bountiful fish out of the true warriors of the wall's mouth.
So, when you are at dinner, you can feel a different air to Komori. It's perhaps maybe the way he carries himself. He seems a little distant at first, and he walks in with almost the same kind of pacing and stature that his cousin walks in. Arms folded behind his back, and they both take seats quietly.
Okay.
Well, being quiet is nothing. It shouldn't be anything out of the ordinary for me, but yeah.
I'll just assume he's, like any good Bostonian, and he slips into the accent when you're home and starts cursing like a boss for no good reason. That sort of thing. He's home, so maybe he's just slipping into
when I go home, I go native.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yes, that is actually correct.
Okay. So you sit down to your meal. Ron Maru is in attendance.
I am wearing my face paint, Komori.
I've got other things on my mind.
I'm just letting you know that
It
that
might
is
register
still
in
on.
his mind eventually. He'll take, of course, he'll see it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And there is also another warrior present. A blonde, kind of ruddy male who is fucking huge, to say the least. 6'7".
Who the fuck? Is this his grandpa?
It's his grandfather. He is got like the biggest bowl at the table. Like it looks like he brought out a bowl that was meant to serve other things that he is using as his own private bowl.
He eats a lot.
I don't say anything to this gentleman.
He is the only one who receives his own custom prepared bowl at the table too. He's got like rice and what looks like grilled meats on there, like red meat.
Is it bleeding?
No,
Okay, I'll look at that'll be something completely obvious
It's-
to everybody that he looks right at the meat, and then I shoot a look
He's
over
basically
to Kachi and be
eating-
like, "It's okay."
he's basically eating hibachi, like a really huge serving of hibachi.
Yeah,
Can't
mean,
maintain himself.
I'm mostly quiet at food at dinner time, so
Okay. Volker kind of makes a big deal out of himself, and he tells a lot of stories while he's there. And you get from his stories about different people and lands and things like that, you get the idea that he's a very well-traveled man. And you've got your mic open.
sorry. I'm done.
Okay. You get that he's a very well-traveled man. He talks about distant lands that you've never heard of, like lands that were made entirely of deserts, lands that spewed fire from the earth, like mountains and strange creatures called goblins. Not the standard goblins you're used to at the wall, but these strange, mutated, skinny things that apparently broke like twigs under a rock. They aren't the durable kind that you're used to on the walls. He speaks of a witch named Baba Yaga from a distant land, and he goes into these great details, and it's almost
Baba
like
Yaga.
and it's almost like he's telling like this folklore from his old lands. The best you could describe it to, or to accredit it to for your people, would be like if he was telling you stories about like the time when the kami walked the earth. It's very strange.
I look at this as a chance to gain Gaijin knowledge.
Mhm.
Because you never know where the power to fight Oni is going to come from.
Absolutely, and
Progressive way of thinking.
That's actually a Crane way of thinking as far as like where knowledge can come from. And the Kuni are very into research, so.
Yep. So you mainly pay attention to the story of Baba Yaga, and you find out about her because she's like the most vile thing that he talks about. Baba Yaga's house is apparently on bird legs, and she is what he refers to as a demon. And then he corrects himself and he says, Oni Lord would be the closest I could say. And then he kind of like stops for a second. He's like, I wasn't supposed to say that, was I? Sorry.
Every time
Sorry.
he messes up, specifically Dietrich will laugh at it.
Toshiro says, "Is this Baba dead? Where does she live now, so that we may rid this world of her? She is a threat to the Empire." Like he stands up ready for battle.
She
In fact, his eyes will start to glow green with the color jade.
She is not of your empire. She resides in a land called Ursa. I do not know if she lives or is dead. I would suspect that her people have rebelled against her. What a cruel witch she was. And he starts laughing like loud and boisterous.
The crab protect the wall, but even the crab go beyond the wall to protect the rest of the Empire from its outside threats. Come. There's a mantis ship waiting in the harbor for us. I'm sure we can get a few more warriors to come deal with this threat.
It is
Guys,
over. It is
Oh.
over a year's worth of travel by sea.
This will give me more time to study it and learn how to bring her down.
Kashi's not saying anything. We're just going.
Well, I will. I'll say. Grandfather, could you please stop spurring him on?
He has the spirit.
Yes, but he.
This is what I've been talking to you about. Brandish your sword with soul and spirit, and nothing can stop you.
There is logic in what he says.
He
Even
pulls
the
out.
sword says he's true.
He pulls out a scroll and he like unrolls it and he starts writing down notes about Baba Yaga for you.
I swear to God, if
He calls her a witch in there, but evidently she's so powerful that she could be as powerful as a demon or Oni Lord, as he's slipped up and said. He finishes the meal kind of early and he hands you the scroll and he says, "For your studies."
I will take this. Is
He has the worst handwriting you've ever seen, by the way.
yes, you should look at the
Does
chat.
this include
I
her
did.
location?
It says Ursa. You have no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Can you tell us where Ursa is?
Yes, Dietrich, bring your friends over. I will show them maps of the world.
Yes, Grandfather.
He gets to his knees.
He'll do that with like literally a palm on his forehead.
Kikita Toshiro will get onto his knees and bow and say, "You are truly a great warrior to bring these tales to the crab. The crab clan will make sure that we destroy this witch. She will not live to harm another person, no matter how long the Empire must fight and how far it must go to rid the world of this taint."
Okay. So the grandfather leaves a little early. It is thanks to your grandfather's shenanigans at dinner that it's kind of snapped you out of your mood, and you've come to the realization that Kikita's been wearing war paint and sitting in his chair through the whole meal. In fact, he hasn't ate the meal.
I'll
You can also tell that Ron Maru appears like she's been crying.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a bit blunt right now because I'm home. After all the revelry that my grandfather brings, after it's quieted down a bit, I will
I was going to say, do you inform them that your grandfather is sometimes a little kooky and should probably not be listened to 100% of the time?
No, they gotta learn their own mistakes.
You do realize I'm about
I
to
was gonna
set
say,
forth an expedition
he's about to
into
send-
the world.
Yeah, he's about to send a crab regiment to go hunt a witch across
Like I
the
said,
world.
he's gotta learn his own mistakes.
Oh, gee.
Well, this.
And
Hey,
here's the problem. My word now carries weight.
You have to understand,
within the
right?
crowd.
He's grown up with this. All the people around him have learned to deal with it, so he should too. He's not used to just warning people because he's not embarrassed of his grandfather. He just doesn't think. He just doesn't think anybody will really be dumb enough to do
Junsaku
this.
will pipe up after Volker has left, and he says, "Volker is full of tales. Not all of them should be adhered to."
Wherever the taint is, we must fight it. Or wherever the Jigoku is, we must fight it.
Why don't
Agreed.
you?
What he speaks of is not the Jigoku, however. His lands are full of. Jinsuke thinks for a moment, and he says, "Casters, magic, shuginjas." He seems more comfortable with that term than the others. Shuginjas of different power.
I'll respond and say that power must inevitably come from Maho to do the things that he says that she has done.
I do not deny that she is a vile person from his stories, but sometimes Volker will expand or add things to his stories to play to the audience.
He likes to make a story sound good.
He once told me that he caught a fish as big as this house.
He's told me 2 times the size of the house.
The seas are full with such things. Such a thing is not impossible. I hope that all these tales are just 100% true. Like, I just want them to be true, and then these guys to be like, what the fuck?
All I can say is, outside of
I was
character...
going to say, people don't believe him. That's all we know.
Yeah. But after a little bit of joking and such, without and not looking at you, Dietrich will just outright state, like, Toshiro-san. No, he won't even say san. He'll just say Toshiro. Is there a reason you have your face paint on?
Yes.
You know you are perfectly safe here in our lands.
He raises an eyebrow and he says, or he just raises an eyebrow at you. He doesn't say anything.
That's not going to help. I specifically said not looking at you.
Well, okay.
It's not going to help.
He doesn't respond then.
Well, after you don't respond for a bit, he'll look up at you. You still raising your eyebrow after all those times?
Stop raising an eyebrow at him. By now.
He'll let the awkward silence just continue and move on. What? Because you aren't going to continue in his head. He'll cousin.
Yes.
And while I say that, right, then he starts just digging through his kimono, just trying to find it.
Mm-hmm.
I've brought you a gift.
You pull out Abun.
I pull out Abun on accident, but it was like I put him down on the table, and then go back into my kimono, look
Kind
at
of like scoots himself across the table to the bowl of fruit.
and I'll
I
pull
like
out,
the way you did that.
yeah. He'll pull out the sweets he bought, and
Okay.
I know one with such refined taste as you always had a bit of a sweet spot, and then he'll put it down on the table right in front of him. And that's
So
it.
for the rest of you, he's handed him a nicely decorated little box that's covered in silk. Jinsuku will pick it up and he will open it. He will seem not amused, close the lid, and then put it inside his kimono.
And I'll just give a nod. And I'll start playing with Abun.
Okay. He, after a few minutes, he says, "Thank you, cousin."
And I'll just give a slight smirk, says, how would I say this? You're welcome. And then he'll pause for a second. Cousin. Just giving a bit of a playful nature to what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kaji, how did you spend your afternoon?
Well, I decided to partake in seeing what the locals consider to be tattooing. Very fascinating. They differ in several ways from the more traditional togashi. Did you know? And he'll just like start rambling on and on about it.
He'll listen.
Yeah, all of the backclan members here will listen, and it's not that they're like fascinated by your story per se. It's more that they're looking at your general opinions of how they conduct their tattoos and things like that.
Hmm.
And since you are speaking kind of like a interested, kind of excited manner, they seem to be approving of the impression that they've left with you.
Everybody's just happy that you're happy with us.
Because they're hoping to curry the favor of a great clan for a great clan member to return home and share that knowledge, kind of deal.
Ah, okay.
We might want to continue, negotiations with the Great Clan. Great Clans are great.
And
Great plans are great. This
Yep.
is correct.
Okay. Once the meal has finished up, you guys do your gift exchange and kind of talk about things. The meal has been cleared, and Jinsaku's family has retreated to other parts of the castle. It's just you inside the courtyard now. He will set down a fan that he's been kind of fiddling with for a little while. It seems to be a back clan thing that they're a little fidgety, because you've noticed that Dietrich does the same thing. He kind of fidgets with things.
Never staying still. Never staying still.
And he will say, the meal is over. I assume that your intention is to speak with me on a more professional manner.
Is she looking at me? Because I haven't said
Uh-huh.
anything. I'll nod.
Very well. If you could follow me to the chamber, or to the reception chamber.
I'll stand up, grab my chair, and put it on my back.
Okay. He takes you to where you would have been seated, had your meals and things like that during a winter court here. It is actually a very nice, area. The best way to describe it is it would be where he would talk to the people and issue decrees and carry out his legal, like all of his normal like politic type business or bureaucracy related business.
Okay.
He takes a seat behind rather solid wooden table that you would assume is probably made from some of the woods that are local here, but it's a different kind of wood than you're used to seeing. It's actually really smooth. It doesn't look like it has any burrs in it, and it's untreated, which is kind of unique as well because most Rikigani furniture is lacquered.
Okay.
By the way, for this meal, since it is a fancy meal, you all would have been given stands for your daisho. So, unless you feel like getting your daisho now, it was not with you at the meal. I should have mentioned that before.
Mine stayed on me.
It would be inappropriate to do so. Are you okay with taking the honor penalty for that?
Even though it's just a wakizashi?
Yes.
Okay.
The stands would have been in the same room as you guys.
Oh. Then that's fine.
Okay.
Just Chris, I would have also have put away my gauntlet for this.
Okay.
Which is something that I don't know if they've noticed. I've never really. I almost always keep on me because most people don't treat it as like a weapon, so I can generally keep it with me.
All right.
But he'll walk you over to the other room. If you choose to retrieve your weapons, that's fine. Just let me know if you've done so.
I do.
I will.
Okay.
I'll only retrieve my gauntlet.
Okay. Komori, give me an awareness check. You're a little distracted. You might not notice this.
Awareness it is. What's my awareness fully check is? Just a straight awareness check. That's it, right?
Well, technically, you can use investigation notice.
I just have to make sure because investigation is way better than just plain awareness for me. 'Cause I got 7 dice to that instead of 2 dice.
Yeah, no, it's a good call. I totally forgot about that, and we've corrected that last game, but I forgot to do that for this one.
Oh, this is gonna be ridiculous. I get 7, keep 3, right? And so far, that's at least 3 10s.
Okay. That'll be enough to notice it.
40, 46 altogether.
Okay.
Actually, no, hold on. That was a 10 again. 40, actually 50, exactly. Sorry, I forgot to roll the last 10.
Okay. So you are going to notice that tied to the saya of your katana is a letter.
So when I go to grab my gauntlet, I notice that.
Yep.
I will then take my my daisho.
Okay.
Well, hidden, just kind of a slight sleight of hand, just quickly putting it into my the note into my kimono.
Okay. And then do you head directly in after that?
I will.
Okay. So you head into the hallway, and Kakita's already taken his seat, along with Junsaku, who has taken a seat behind the chair. You will notice that here above his chair along the wall is the quarterstaff that he uses. He uses kind of a monk's staff, so it's got the rings on it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that part of the reason he uses that staff is because he lets bats sit on it and stuff like that. Like it's got 2 little branched arms on it. There are a few bats inside this hallway, but it's not like as much as what was inside the foyer. And he's left the door open because they should be waking up and heading out now.
I don't. Well, other than just plain noticing, I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty normal. I'll take my seat.
Ranmaru will have entered, but she is kneeling by the door. She is not on a kneeler or anything like that. She's straight up on the floor. That's something you will notice coming in because it's odd.
If possible, you can remind me as a player, what does that signify generally?
That she's in trouble.
It'd be safe to...
She's basically waiting to be scolded and then sent away, is what you would assume.
Safe enough to assume that it might be about the same thing he called her out on before, because he does tend to be a bit strong about.
Yeah, he is very strict to the Shigenja, because he feels that they're the clan's chance at becoming even more well known and things like that.
Yeah. I will not say anything then about that.
Okay. He will pull out a pen and open up a scroll, and he writes down some stuff, and you can hear the pen kind of scratch against the paper, and he says, "Okay, we can begin."
I'm going to wait for her to tell it because I feel like it would be inappropriate for me to do so.
Okay. You wait. She waits. Do you say anything to her? Because she's assuming that you're going to say something, and she's just not going to come forward because it's pretty damn shameful.
Etiquette would dictate, Chris, in this situation, because this is very sensitive. A, should we tell Komori to leave?
No, you shouldn't necessarily have to ask him to leave. You can if you would like, but it's not necessary.
Okay. So that's number one. Number two, who in this situation should speak?
You could start the conversation, but by basically saying, "I believe Ranmaru has something to say to you," to kind of push her a little bit. But that's
okay.
It should be her really ultimately that's kind of coming forward, and then you coming forward as like the professional consultant kind of deal.
Okay. I believe that Ranmaru has something that she needs to speak with you about.
Very well. And he writes down some stuff as you're talking. He looks across the room to Ron Maru. Says, "Student, come forward and address me." She steps forward and she says, "Sensei," and she bows. I am not sure where to begin. And this time she goes into a full report. Completely tells all the details. Which you've only received portions of, so she's actually telling the full story of everything that she knows to happen. She tells you that she believed that Lord Otomo had something to hide, that he had spent a great deal of hours inside his office doing something, and as the Shugenja assigned to Toshi Rambo, one time she had to run into his office to deliver a message and found him gone when he was expected to be there. She kept investigating his poor behavior and eventually discovered the circle. When she had made it down there, she went to go leave to tell someone, but she was attacked by zombies and dragged back to the main chamber. Once she was there inside the main chamber, she doesn't know who exactly...
I'll stop her real quick, and I'll reach for something in my obi, and I'll pull it out, and I'll say, "Is this their mask? Or was this their mask?"
Yes.
Does anybody look like, what the fuck did he just do when I pull part of their mask out?
Well, most of us remember that you...
Well, no, they're like the clan champion and Ranmaru, who doesn't know that I carry a piece of it on me until we get back to the wall.
Ranmaru is a little taken back by the whole thing. The clan champion kind of notes it and moves on.
Okay.
He's kind of gathering things, so he's trying to avoid kind of like showing face during this period. Like the whole time she's talking, he's looking dead at her and writing everything down, kind of a creepy way.
I'll put it back in my obi.
Okay. After they began draining my blood, I lost track of time, and I do not know who exactly was the one that did it to me. I believe it may have been this person that Dietrich knows, a Kojima. And you can see that the clan champion kind of frowns a bit and writes down the name. Maybe behind it. It appears that they had some interaction before. Since then, I have been on my travels, but I've been so swept up by the current events that I had lost track of other things. And she seems quite genuinely ashamed of herself as she kind of steps forward and very quietly says to the clan champion that I have not bled in near 2 months from what I am told. But I do not know how that is possible. As far as I am aware, I have kept my honor. The clan champion kind of frowns again and writes more down. And he looks over to you, Kakita, and he says, "What do you have to add to this matter?" You know that she is unaware of the dark taint that she is carrying, or could be carrying, I should say.
Kakita will lean forward in his chair, and he'll say, "I could go into a long explanation of this. I could tell you everything that I know. Unfortunately, the witch hunters and the magistrates would be here to cut your head off. I could tell you exactly what I believe to be. Safe to say that in my training, my family, my father was a very accomplished doctor, maybe one of the best the Empire has ever seen. And that training was passed down, or a portion of that training was passed down to me. Because of my father's influence, I was afforded a special place amongst the crab and allowed to serve and learn under their Shugenja school. And I have learned more there than I ever knew about what we here call the taint. But there is another form that I am just beginning to understand, and the Empire as a whole is just beginning to learn about. And to be honest, everything she told you, as far as I'm aware, is the truth. I have tested her for the Shadowlands taint and found her to not be tainted. However, there is a separate form of taint that responds genuinely to crystal. If you would, Ron Maru, your hand.
She pulls back her sleeve, and you can see the slight burn marks from earlier are still there.
I'll say that was due to the crystal. The darkness, as I will call it, and you should understand it, doesn't exist, and yet it does. It takes every shape and no shape at once, and its taint is not fully understood yet. When we left Toshi Rambo, Komori was in such a hurry to get her back that she didn't undergo a full taint examination. And to be honest, she bore little resemblance of taint. And I did not think about it until she herself came forward and said she was tainted. I then approached her, ready for a battle. I assumed that she had come home to sabotage a very important infrastructure to the Empire, and that would be the Bat Clan Shigenjas. And when I spoke to her, I discovered this not to be the case, that she did not yet fully understand what had happened to her, but she was starting to understand. And when I questioned her about it, my medical training came in, and we discovered the other things. I look over at Komori, and I look back, and I say, in present company, do you wish me to continue to explain?
He kind of sets the pen down and he looks across over to Dietrich and he says, yes.
Okay.
And he's kept a dead eye on Dietrich. And there's almost like this mental note that goes between the two of you, like, you have to be here for this. This is what you're signing up for, essentially.
The Maho has a way to summon Oni. And though I am not presently aware of a direct spell to impregnate a woman, I do know that a tainted woman does beget tainted offspring. This is a known fact. It is when a slightly tainted woman is in the condition that she's in, usually there are certain... And he looks back at Komori like he's hesitant to say that she's pregnant in front of him, really. And he says, in her condition, there are some procedures that can be taken to deal with the spread of the taint. However, with this other form of taints, it is a complete unknown. And there may be spells that that will exasperate her condition and allow her to bring forth something far more evil than we can imagine. This is why, even through your graciousness and your wonderful harvest of food, I did not eat, and I sat in my war paint. And for this, I am truly sorry. However, as I was taught by my sensei in the crab, we must always be vigilant. And I'm sure you can understand my worry that at any moment something may happen.
Of course. With your training, what is your suggestion?
I came to her originally to tie her feet with my flame katana drawn. Essentially offering to help her commit seppuku, just for the record. Because I don't actually carry a katana, and I needed to cut off her head so she didn't do the kicking chicken.
Right.
Yeah. However, she has not reached that level that would be required. However, I don't know that I'm ready to perform such an exam on Ranmaru to discover the action needed. I know what this would mean to the clan to lose, or I can only imagine what it would mean to such a clan to lose a powerful Shugenja, or even more so with her condition. But I'm not sure that I am capable of doing this on my own. A further medical exam would be needed. I would need access to far different books than you have available in your library. My best guess would be that we need to make the most haste possible to the Crablands so they can figure out what to do with her.
He looks across the room to Dietrich, and he says, Komori Dietrich, step forward. You might be muted.
Thank you. I'll stand up and step forward, staying quiet the entire time, also making sure not to show any emotions on my face.
Okay.
For the record, Toshiro does look sullen as he says all this.
He looks at you and he says, we cannot fail in our duty to the Empire. You know this to be true.
I do.
I will not let an outsider tend to our problems. Ranmaru will commit seppuku, and you will oversee her. Or you will be her second.
Komori-sama, addressing the champion.
Mm-hmm.
That may not be enough in this case. That is my hesitation at this point. It may only unleash what dwells within. I have seen such a thing before with the Shadowlands taint. I can only imagine what this vile version of it does.
Then we will prepare ourselves and all be in attendance.
When you are done, when it is finished, as the only representative of the Kuni Shigenja school, I would like to inspect the body to learn more about how the Empire can fight this. I'll take the honor hit for this. There's a tear streaming down his face.
Okay. He turns to you, to Miyamoto, and he says, "Forgive me, Miyamoto. You are an honored guest. You
I was unaware
are
that
not
you were there,
required."
otherwise I wouldn't have talked, by the way. I would not have talked with Miyamoto there.
I've been standing here the whole time.
It's okay. I'm chalking it up to he was there, just very quiet in the background, like Miyamoto tends to be.
Okay.
He looks across like he suddenly became aware of Miyamoto's presence again, and he says, "Forgive me, Miyamoto. You are an honored guest. You do not need to involve yourself in such matters."
I'm going to respond to this.
She has kind of become a friend of all of yours, actually. 'Cause
Right.
keep in mind, she's been with you for about 2 months now.
Right. As part of it, it's like there's also something else. Like on a personal note, I would prefer to stay, if for nothing else, to see this through to the end. And on a slightly more professional note, though I have not known Kaikita for very long, I have come to trust his judgment of these things. If there is to be darkness tonight, I wish to be there ready for it.
Kakita will turn to Kaji, and Kakita will say, "There's no warrior that I know that I would feel more safe in the presence of, should the worst happen tonight. Thank you, Miyamoto-sama."
Okay. The rest of the night kind of goes on in a similar somber tone. She retreats to a room to write her own death haiku and prepare herself. As a woman, she is technically given the right to kill herself quietly in the background, but given the nature of everything, she has agreed to go through traditional seppuku that a man would, to have her head cut off, which is a much more violent death. And she has laid forward her death haiku, which normally you don't open until afterward, but I am going to read it, which I totally stole from another artist, so I'll give you the name afterward. Inhale, exhale, forward, back, lying, dying, arrows let flown, each to each. Meet midway and slice, the void in aimless flight. Thus I return to the source. That's Geshu Soko, 1696. It's the poem that I sourced. But she arrives in white kimono, legs bound, and kneels inside the chamber. Diedrich, do you do anything against the ceremony, or do you follow it through?
It is a hard choice to make. I
Ooh,
know.
actually, first question. While she's gone and you all kind of sit awkwardly in the silence while she writes her death haiku and gets ready, do you wish to look at your letter?
I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
It's
It
only
is-
because I don't want to have to deal with talking with anybody else right now.
Okay. So you unfold this paper, and a very light, stylized writing is a simple haiku. Cherry blossoms wind, finding way through to bated breath. So still the night's sleep.
It's a love haiku.
No author is attached to it, so it is not a love haiku. It is not an announcement.
Oh, thank God. Because that would be hilarious.
It is not technically a love haiku because it wasn't officiated and signed and everything. So.
They're actually not signed.
Oh, that's right. They aren't signed. So
They're
yes,
anonymous.
It is. It
It's
is
supposed
an
to have a
anonymous
clue
love
as to
poem.
who it is within the haiku.
It is. It does.
So it's a love haiku. She wants to keep it in the family, bro.
Family is a relative term when it comes to
I
small
know.
clans.
Yeah,
They
clan.
adopt.
Okay.
Okay. Do you wish to do anything aside from the norm of the ceremony? You can petition your cousin if you'd like.
I'm trying to think of what to say, what I would do, what to do. That's why. I literally don't have a clue.
I was gonna say you could just speak frank with him. I mean, it is your cousin, so I mean,
Yeah,
you
no,
do have
it's not
liberties.
that. It's more of just what to say. That's the problem. All right, you know what? I'll probably just fuck everything up, and I'm gonna say something because he wouldn't just sit back and whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm not going to try to pull him aside. I'm gonna say this with everybody here. After I read the note, read the note. I'll carefully put it back, close it back up and put it back into my kimono, and just say out loud. Cousin,
Yes. He looks up from his writings.
I will look up at him, and I'll pull out the tanto she gave me,
Okay.
and put it down right in front of me. Do you know what this is?
He looks at it and he says, I'm not familiar with the weapon. No, it appears
I'll
to be a Tonto."
I'll unsheath it.
Okay. He looks at it and he says, "Ah, I was told that she carried one of those."
It was given to her by her father to protect her. She has given it to me. Because of that, I've I have because of that, in the troubles she has been through, I decided to take up her father's place and protect her instead. Please, there's got to be another way to this.
He he looks across the room over to Kikita and he says, "Is there?"
As I've said, we could take her to the Crablands. They could investigate.
I do not wish for this blight to be carried into the Crablands. The Crab have been kind to us. I do not wish them any sort of malalignments.
I am familiar through Komori of your clan's ability to speak across vast distances. Is there anybody here anybody here that can speak with the crab?
I can.
There's a specific crab that I am aware of. My sensei, Kunitaro. He is a witch hunter himself, as well as incredibly powerful. Oh wait.
No, you're okay. I'm
Oh.
just muting myself because they're being loud.
Alright. An incredibly powerful Shugenja. One of the likes of which the Empire has not seen since the first Kuni. His wisdom will carry us through this, and he will know what to do.
I will be unable to contact him directly, but... Fucking dog. Come here. Sit down. Sit. Sit down.
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Hopefully.
No,
figures
he
it out.
speaks it. Yeah, he does. It's just a bit rough.
But he says, I cannot contact your sensei directly. There is one that I can contact, however, who, if I send her into your lands, must be made aware of, regardless.
I understand.
I can contact Hida
Out of game for the player.
or Kasada.
I know what the Hida are,
Uh-huh.
and if he's informing, the battle clan of the crab, what's going down, that's pretty valid. But I don't know the person directly as the player.
Hida Kasada is the grandchild to the original, great-grandchild to the original Kasada, who was the clan champion for the longest time of the crab. It is believed that Hida Kasada himself is possibly a reincarnation, or possibly a really good namesake, if not, to his great-grandfather. And he... He also is very outspoken and believes the darkness of the second pit is the crab's responsibility as well as the scorpion. In fact, he's pretty much been the fighting force between splitting the crab between both walls that are out there right now. And he's a very staunch believer that the darkness will return to take over their lands, and the fact that there are now 2 openings leaves the crab open for even more of a threat.
Has he been? So if essentially we're about to make him aware that I found the lying darkness in this woman,
or at least in something of it. Yes.
Yeah. And it was active in Doshi Rambo.
Yes. If he is not already aware.
So you can't see it under the face, but his hands go completely white. His neck is just you can't tell with the mask hands anymore.
Yeah, he is a warrior first and foremost, and he has been priming people to go to war with the Shadowlands at first, but with more and more rumors going around, this will probably ignite him to go after Lying Darkness.
Yeah. He's going to lose his voice and be like, no. If that is what you wish to do.
It is the only way that I can send her. If I send her without informing him, he will take it as a threat for war. And consider us in league with that.
This is most likely accurate, yes.
She will arrive and give him the death haiku, which he will read to himself and fold up, and he says, is it your wish, Kakita-san, to do so?
Is he referring to bringing her to the Crablands?
Mm-hmm.
Even... We must know. And this might be the only way.
Dietrich, will you take responsibility for her?
I'll grab the Tonto and sheath it. I already have. I'm not muted, am I?
No, you
No.
are.
I'm
He kind of contemplates and he says, Miramoto, again, you have me at a loss.
I'm just kind of standing here.
He's like,
That's the problem. I do what the dragon do. I stand and observe things.
Mm-hmm.
this
He
is why
says-
everybody's always confused with you around.
He says, you have me at a loss. You've come into my house, shared things that could destroy my family, or shared in moments that could destroy my family if potentially mishandled. What is your game?
My game?
Toshiro smiles.
It's like, how do I put this? It's like,
I am not familiar with the ways of the mainlanders as much as perhaps my cousin is.
like
The Scorpion tend to be our initial impression of the rest of the mainlanders, that you are too caught up in political games to be of service to your empire as much as necessary sometimes. Is it your intent to crush my family with political intrigue and doubt?
It's like, Kaji will actually smile a little bit. It's like, I can see why you would think that their first impression was of the Scorpion, but no. I'm afraid that even to most other major clans, the dragon is somewhat odd by comparison. Even I would have a hard time explaining to you what it is we truly do. But to put it succinctly, the Dragon Clan watches. Our job is to watch over the Emerald Empire and make sure nothing goes catastrophically wrong. I know most. Yeah, I know most consider the dragons to be just the strange people living up in the north, but we do ensure things run smoothly. And so, that is what I shall do. I will watch and make sure that nothing goes wrong.
We have a question.
Okay.
Which is...
He just says he's insightful. Them, most crab. He is a tactician. JC and Lapel.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant from the group. Let me check the QA.
He's more insightful than most crab, as he is a tactician.
Yes, he's referring to Hida Kasada being an insightful tactician to the crab. He's actually very forthright in his thought process because he's anticipating a great darkness when most people are reveling in the fact that the empire is expanding and growing and being great at the moment. He is looking to the future where he thinks something bad is going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the question and comment there. He turns to Ramaru and he says, "You may get dressed. Hold on to this. I don't think it is needed at the moment." He'll slide his her death poem back over to her. You will go to the Crablands, and I must speak with Hida Sama, but I believe he will have you attend his winter court this year. And I am sure your master will be there to greet you.
Does he say that to me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I am sure he will.
I have heard of your master, and I approve of his teaching methods. I've adopted some of them myself, and you see Ron Maru kind of shiver a little. Very well. Ron Maru, go with these men. They will look after you and our clan's best interest. Know that your life is at their mercy. He rolls up the scroll, and he files it away into a cabinet. And when he files it away, he takes out a piece of jade and hangs it on the end of the scroll. You can see now that he's done this and made a show of it, the scroll case that he has opened up, there are a few scrolls inside there that have a piece of jade on the end of them. And you get the feeling that that means that they probably have some stuff that you don't want people to know about or have safety when they read. Which is a thing that the Kuni actually do, is they tag their scrolls with jade. It's just an unusual thing that you wouldn't see outside of the Kuni there.
On this trip, I know this is very hard to do, even for the great clans. We might require crystal.
Go ahead.
I just said it. You're.
Oh, you might require crystal. I have none.
That is what I feared.
From what I understand, the newly acquired colonies may be the best source of it.
I only have this piece. Oh, crap. I just revealed that I had crystal on me, which no one else knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kind of... Toshiro realizes that he spoke out loud, and then he'll reveal his piece of crystal to everybody.
Aside from that, I believe that the crab also have kept a
Yes.
small supply.
Yeah. They do a lot of research with it.
No, that was him in character saying,
Oh,
I believe
okay.
the crab have kept a small supply.
I believe so as well. Though, since we do not have, or since we only have this bit, I wanted to make sure that your clan did not lose another promising member. Motioning to Dietrich. I will, as a gift from the crane to the bat in this troubling time, I'll walk over to Komori and I'll hand him a piece of crystal. Or the crystal.
Okay. Komori the champion? Or Dietrich?
No, Dietrich.
Okay.
I get that they have very small numbers and everybody's important, so essentially I'm trying to show my commitment to this to help them by giving away the crystal to protect them.
Okay, no, I'm not muted. I will just plain accept it.
When you accept it, Toshiro will say, when we return to Crablands, and we are safely under their protection, I will want that back. And Toshiro smiles at you.
He'll give you like one of those depressed little grins.
Okay. So it is our time. So we're going to wrap it up right here. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in. We've had 2 viewers. That's pretty normal for us. I'm glad to see familiar faces, so that's pretty cool.
We're glad you tuned in. We love repeats. Get your friends, your enemies, your frenemies to watch it. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Your karmatic enemies.
Yes.
Now fuck them.
They impregnate your bitches with the lying darkness. That's scary.
Hey man, it's not
yeah.
proven exactly what if it was him, but he's probably involved somewhere in it.
I was going to say, so ultimately for you guys who are in attendance here as players, the goal of this game is to really explore your characters and add some depth to them. So doing things like, starting a love interest and finding out that she's been tainted by some sort of foul creature that you don't know how to stop. Stuff like that will probably come up. And being the dragon, you are just going to be awkwardly watching through it all because it's really hard to test you like that.
I don't know, if you start bringing in, like, enlightened madness and shit, then maybe I'll get more involved.
I was going to say, I'll think of something clever
Your
for
turn
you.
will be up soon.
Just like I'll think of something clever for Kikita. But this first little bit is a little bit of exploring for Dietrich, because I think Jeremy needs to flex his RP muscles a little.
I'm trying.
But all in all, I'm very happy with the campaign. And like I said, I wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up that I don't mean to be like, shitstorm GM over here. This is not my norm, but L5R is usually pretty serious and somber for me.
How can we play our characters right if everything goes wrong? Everything's supposed to go perfectly right.
I actually like the way that you've allowed us as a party to move forward in the story naturally in a way that makes other people from other clans want to help. I mean, think about who's on this quest to help the bat. a Kakita that was trained by the Crab and the Miramoto, who, by the way, for the record, if you didn't know, your clan champion before your current clan champion was infected with the lying darkness.
Oh yeah, we're very much aware of that.
So
That's part of the
we don't
reason why
talk
he's
about
sticking
Tony.
around.
Everybody hates the lying darkness. We all have a
So,
personal stake in it.
it really works out well to allow this to happen. And I will
Yeah,
say that
I did
I
a lot
like
of
the
research
interaction.
when I figured out what you guys were playing, and I really wanted it to be a very personalized story. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
Mm.
I will say that there are a few things that I am greatly looking forward to, and that's I am very curious as to, as a player, what's going to happen next. Because when we got here, it was like, yeah, we knew we were going to go roundabouts to Crablands soon.
Nope. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Crablands, right? But before we go to Crablands, we're gonna stop off with my grandfather. We're gonna get some of his shit. We're gonna go, and then we're gonna go to Crablands. Then we're gonna find out they can't do shit about it because they're still new about it. So what do? Fuck it. We go to the source of this shit and we leave Rukagon.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, you're going to tell Kasada he needs to send a regiment of troops over to Ursa, wherever that is.
And we're gonna have to go with him.
Here's the problem: he's going to do it.
He will.
I honestly don't doubt it.
And
All right,
here's
so-
the issue: is Toshiro's going to assume because his father left Rukagon that his father may have found out about this and went to go deal with it himself because that's the type of man he was.
Oh,
So he's
man.
going to volunteer to
more,
go.
More reasons to leave. More reasons to do this that are just
So
more than just
last time we brought outside Rukagon to Rukagon. Now we're
Now-
bringing Rukagon to outside.
We gotta convert all these barbarians.
So, as a side note, I did make a decision that probably in the next couple of weeks we'll do a open Q&A, maybe 30 minutes before the game starts, kind of deal. I haven't decided exactly when, but it'll probably be after we kind of get settled into the Ranmaru Crablands kind of storyline. Since we've been playing for a little while, I know that there are some people that have had questions and things like that, and so we'll take a little bit of time to set aside special for that.
Is this
All in all,
so?
though,
Can I ask a question to the DM?
Yeah.
So is this going to be the type of Q&A where they're going to get to ask the players, the DM, and the characters?
anything they want to ask about system,
Okay.
story.
Because
I'm okay
personal
with this
matters.
Personally,
I like when people can ask the characters questions too. So if someone had a question for Miramoto Kaji about
I
how
love-
something's been reacting,
Mm.
or how he's been taking in this whole thing, I really like that.
yeah,
Just
I
as a
love
fun-
I
as
love
a-
the idea of answering as the character himself. Like,
Yeah, I was going to say we can set it up to where if you want to ask the character or the player, you can just notate that, and then
Yeah.
we can answer accordingly rather. But that's going to be it for us this week. I don't want to keep Tom any later because he's usually pretty strict about his time. From all of us here at Legend of the Five Rings, 3 Feet from Death, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you at the gaming table.
Goodbye.